All righty. We'll now call the CRA regular board meeting to order for September 23rd. Please rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Invocation will be given by board member Jim Bernard. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Be seated. If you'll please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Member McGuire?
Here.
Member Taylor?
Here.
Vice Chair Bernard?
Here.
Chair Anderson?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Up first, we have the minutes from August the 5th. We'll be looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes for August 5th, 2024.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or changes? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Member McGuire?
Yes.
Member Taylor?
Yes.
Vice Chair Bernard?
Yes.
Chair Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item number 5, we have a Avon Park CRA fee agreement. Is this going to be Chrissy or Jerry?
So, this is the attorney that I spoke about at the last CRA meeting that is going to assist on that with regard to projects and so on on an as-needed basis. And so we need to approve his agreement.
Okay. Is this something that we should, how often do you think that we'll be utilizing these services?
I don't think a whole lot.
Okay. It's not something that we need to make a special budget item for or anything like that?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
Because we could ask them general questions if certain things were allowable, not like on a case-by-case basis. They wouldn't have to look at every case, in other words.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the Avon Park CRA fee agreement to, do we just need the law firm's name?
Sure.
To Shepherd Smith, Kohlmeyer, and Hand.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Last call for questions. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Member McGuire?
Yes.
Member Taylor?
Yes.
Vice Chair Bernard?
Yes.
Chair Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item number 6, this would be procedural confirmation for facade grants related to 119 West Main Street and 100 East Main Street.
Thank you. These two applications were looked over by the CRA Advisory Board on August 8th. During the discussions, the question had come up whether or not to allow these applications to apply per unit as opposed to the parcel itself. An argument had been made that they were following the same procedure as SFSC Foundation for the Jacaranda Hotel. So what we're looking for today is try to understand what the board would like to do with these types of applications moving forward. It's quite a lot of money on the table, so just so you know, if this does go through, it will drain the CRA budget.
Okay.
And I'll answer any questions.
Well, I have a question. So you're saying if we approve these multiple addresses, that the Main Street CRA will be out of money for this year?
Yes, sir.
Will there be anything left, or will we overspend?
It wouldn't be overspending, but I mean, from my professional opinion, this is not the goal of the program was not to do this kind of restoration on buildings.
Okay.
Now, again, it could apply under the plan, and now with the approval we just had, we can review it with that CRA attorney. But until we're at a point where we know for sure whether or not, I would not move forward with these applications. But we wanted to understand how the board feels about it and what direction the board would like us to go.
Okay. The only two comments I make on that is that one, it's a good thing that we spend all the money, so I think that's a good thing. The second thing is, I believe I read in there that it said per storefront. So theoretically, if there's multiple storefronts under one address, then that's a possibility, whatever the rest of whatever Jerry might think.
Well, my issue with it is that, it can be a way that somebody can change their building, and you could end up using up all your money on just these types of uses. So you really just, it's up to you, and we talked about it, I said there's no clarity there. So really, we need you all to decide, do you want to do it per property, that is the property in general, or do you want to do it per address or storefront type thing? Because we have done it in the past, and with regard to per address, or but perhaps per property is a better way to do it. But you might decide that that's not fair.
Well, certainly we could come up with some type of a cap, for multiple address properties. I mean, there could be a property that has 100 residences, or there could be one that has 2. So we could come up with a cap.
That was my thought too, is that we gave it a $5,000 cap like we do on residences, then it would be a similar situation.
$5,000 cap per what?
Per storefront?
Per storefront. Isn't that basically what they're requesting?
That is what they're requesting.
Okay.
Now, I will say the CRA Advisory Board did recommend this for approval, capping it at $25,000 total.
What was that based on exactly?
It was based on the exact documentation that you saw, so it was based on the per unit.
Okay.
in
Isn't
storefront.
there more than 5 units?
Correct.
So where did the 25 come from, I guess is the question.
I'm not sure where the 25,000, considering that the quotes came in between 30,000 and up.
So was the intent for them to basically put in
pay
a
the
cap?
difference? Yes, sir.
Or for that, they were basically assessing a cap?
Correct.
Okay.
That's something you could just adopt, but you have to be consistent with it. It can't be just, well, on these people here, we're going to cap at 25. We might not do it for the next one, but.
Right.
Yeah, so, if you want to say multiple units capped at 25, but 5 per address, or, something along that line.
This particular property, how many actual units were there? I know it says in here, but.
How many actual storefronts on the bottom?
That, I don't have it with me, and I apologize for that. Yeah, there's 2 storefronts at the bottom. Randy gave me that information.
Okay.
Because our packet already says that there has to be an actual business in there with a license. So you said there's 2 that actually are in operation.
I have Oakley Title, and I also have Pipel.
Well, are we talking about the Soto building or the other one?
Well, these are both connected in this discussion. So I have both those properties because they're very similar applications. So when I talked about the 2 businesses just now, I was referencing 100
Yeah.
East Main Street.
So as far as I'm just trying to figure out where they got that 25 too. So as far as the Soto building, if there's 2 businesses that are actually in there, 2 storefronts that have a license that are in operation, that's like 5,000 each.
Mm-hmm.
And I did just get an update from Melody that if we do move forward with these projects, it will deplete the facade grants, but we will have money in.
What did you say was demolitions?
We have mall beautification. We have demolitions, the gateway, special projects.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
We
there's
wouldn't
plenty.
want to expand the facade until we figure out what those pickleball courts and everything else is going to cost. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with spending, the entire budget. It's just we want to make sense of it. We want to have a realistic plan going forward. So, do we currently allow facade grants for multiple apartments?
This will be the first time I've encountered it.
It's if it's rental for apartment building, I think it's 2,000 per.
2,000.
It's in our packet thing already.
So, I think that would probably be appropriate, that if there's a building that has multiple businesses, you would just simply cap it around that same number, whether it be 2,000 or 2,500. I think both seem pretty appropriate. that building in the 100 West Main Street in particular, there's currently 2 businesses there, but that building's big enough to have, I mean, heck, they could have had 4, they could have had 6, whatever.
I think
then-
we should still go based on the storefront though, because you can put 16 in one area if you
Right.
want to.
Understood. I totally agree. But then looking at the other building, the 119, they have currently, 2 on the bottom? And they have space for 4?
It looks like 4 based
Is that
on
where the old
picture.
laundromat was?
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's 4.
Yeah,
At
there's
the
only 2
bottom.
active businesses there, and then there's space for 4 probably.
There's one drink, I think it starts with a B, and I was unaware of the second business.
Oh, okay.
Okay, 2.
Okay. So, I mean, I certainly would be in favor of going to either 2,000 or 2,500 per business.
Per storefront or per which part?
Per business. So, in other words, if one business is occupying 10,000 square feet of a 10,000 square foot building, that's just one. If 2 businesses are occupying 10,000 square feet, that would be 2.
I don't necessarily want to go based on business license only because one person can operate 10 different businesses and it's the same person and they're
Okay.
occupying the same space. So
Right.
I don't want to do that. I'd rather storefront. So if you've got a door going out to the street, that's 1. If you got another door, that's 1. Not how many people you can put in one spot.
I like that idea.
So-
I agree.
Yeah.
On zoning regulation, what is the limit for businesses? There is not a limit to square footage for business. In other words, if you had an office building that had 20 offices in a building this size, you could do that, could you not?
I believe it's 300 square feet.
300 square
Actually,
feet.
just had this conversation with Jeff Schmucker today.
Okay.
It's 300 for business purposes, not residential.
Okay. So 300 square feet is pretty small. Yeah, that's
And then if you have one of those consortium type businesses where they all, multiple places just showcase their stuff, well then you technically got a whole bunch of businesses taking up one shelf.
Yep.
sure.
The only other issue with,
So you could do address or business, whichever number is less. So in other words, if a business is occupying, let's say 5 addresses, that would still be 1. Or if you have,
I would say occupied storefront. If they have a storefront, if they've got a door going outside and there's a business in there and they're operating and they have a business license with the city, I would say, okay, they get the 2,500 or whatever chunk we decide. Same thing next door. If the next door neighbor does not have any business in it, then they don't get 2,500.
right. That's why I said whichever number is less. Would you be okay if there was like I say, a 10,000 square foot building and they had, 15 businesses in there?
Only if there was 15 storefronts.
So if there was 15 storefronts, you would be okay with that?
Yeah, if there was 15 doors coming out, then I'd say, okay, I'd still set a max
Okay. With a max?
with a max.
Yeah.
Okay.
Per address.
And 2,000 or 2,500?
I think per property max.
For property what?
Per property max.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so 2,000 or 2,500 per storefront.
Well, the CRA board said 5,000, right? So I think 2,500 would be fair.
Bernice?
It doesn't matter. It could be 2,000, 2,500. I mean, definitely not 5.
We got a 25, we got a 2 or a 25. What do you say?
If we keep it consistent with the apartment buildings, that was 2.
Okay.
And it was also, another component we can consider is the matching part. With the apartments, they have to match up to 2,000.
Was it, with the apartment building, was it apartment or was it businesses?
I believe for the apartment part, it was,
The apartments are, it was per apartment.
Apartment. I thought it was only homes and businesses.
it actually just says per property, so it's not even specified. It says 2,000 matching per property.
So
Okay.
that leaves it kind of ambiguous.
All right, so for argument's sake here tonight, I guess the goal would be $2,000 per occupied storefront and then a cap for the entire property. Any suggestions?
I mean, how much do we usually have in the budget for the Main Street CRA that we usually go
For facades?
for facade grants?
100. That's what we had this year.
So I think 25 probably would be pretty appropriate. Which
And
is
we've
probably
already
where the
spent
suggestion came from.
42,000, so.
Okay.
Or we could also do a match, because that's pretty important. If you're, I don't mind giving them
Well,
25,000, but then-
We're not currently having any other businesses do a match.
Okay.
So the rest of the Main Street CRA funds, did those go to businesses or mainly residences?
Mainly businesses, but we had one, let's see. We had 3 residences.
So then if we said 20, and we still aim to do 4 different businesses, a max of 20,000, then that would leave us 20,000 for residences. At 5,000 a pop, that's 4 houses. And if we had 3, that would still service that average of 3 to 4 and still allow 4 businesses to
That's
still stay
true.
under that 100,000.
That's through October 1st or 2, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I'm good with that.
20,000 cap, 2,000 per occupied storefront. Is that agreeable?
As long as they got a door.
Okay. Does anyone care to make that motion?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Okay. Any further questions? Staff, are we clear?
Yes, I do have one question. So given this new directive, are we going to move forward with these applications according to that now, or is this something that you want to be presented with again?
Jerry, do you see an issue with us moving forward with the applicants we have under those new guidelines?
No, I think it's unclear as to what you do altogether, but at some point you should probably make it clear and you make a policy, but you can proceed forward. There's nothing contradicting it in the plan right now.
Okay. So we are basically just voted, or we basically just made a motion to establish this as our policy going forward, to have $20,000 cap per property and $2,000 per occupied storefront. So do you see an issue with us voting for that?
No.
Okay. And now would that be able to serve as our policy going forward?
Yes.
Okay.
But like I said, we should modify your documents to reflect that.
Okay.
I'll take care of that on my end and I'll send it to you, Jerry.
Okay. So should those documents be modified before we look at these grant applications?
I don't think they need to.
Okay.
Mayor,
Yes.
Christy had said something about the reason why they came to us in the first place because we did it for Hotel Jacaranda. So how are we going to address that?
Well, we always have the ability to make exceptions.
And we're not setting, the decision to help the Jacaranda Hotel was not setting a precedent. So I think that's a common misconception that every time a decision is made that you're setting a precedent. It's not a legal precedent. What you've done now is establish what will be the precedent moving forward. We had not received an application like that, at least in my time here. So now we see that these are becoming more prevalent. We're going to start presenting these to you now.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
No, sir.
Seeing none, we do have a motion and a second. If there's no further questions, we'll go ahead and call the roll.
Yes, sir. Member McGuire?
Yes.
Member Taylor?
Yes.
Vice Chair Bernard?
Yes.
Chair Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. So now, should we go ahead and vote on these individual applications?
Yes, sir.
All right. So the first will be 119 West Main Street. This will be for Mr. Soto. Does anyone care to make a motion?
Just to clarify what the motion should be, so he's got 2 occupied storefronts, so we would be making a motion for $2,000 each one.
It'd be for $2,000 per occupied storefront, and does he have a component of residences as well?
He does.
Okay, how many of those are there?
That I don't have with me.
But yes, it would be 2,000 per.
Per storefront, and then
And there's a total, I have a comment here from Mr. Soto where he said it was 5 addresses total.
For business and residential?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it would be 5 multiplied by 2,000.
so can we ask if the residences are occupied or even if they're at the level to be rented out at this point, or are they still
I'm sorry,
under-
he said there's 4 stores, 1 residence. And yes, they are occupied.
But only
so
2
we have-
stores.
If we don't have a business license, they're not occupied. So,
if I would, I'd like to put on the record, there's been a lot of, how do I say this? I guess contrasting information on upstairs
Okay.
on how many residences there really are. I got a call from the United States Post Office because they requested 21 addresses upstairs. Then I got a call from the county addressing where they wanted 14 residences upstairs. And talking to Mr. Soto, I can't get a copy of a site plan. There is construction going on there right now. So I am unclear exactly how many residences are upstairs.
Do you see a realistic path that you could ever become clear as to what exactly is there and what is designated as legal?
He would have to. It would have to be almost. He would have to invite us up there with possibly the building department and to actually inspect it, because right now I can tell you it's up in the air of how many residences are really upstairs.
Well, I certainly feel that if someone's going to receive a facade grant application, they need to be very clear about what they do and do not have.
Concur.
So I would certainly be okay with tabling it until we can make that very clear and bring it back.
And I just want to notate that Mr. Soto said that there are business licenses, which I have confirmed he has business licenses, and there is a site plan. So I just wanted, he's commenting, I just want to make sure that was heard.
Okay. So, but we just don't have a copy of that yet.
Correct.
Okay. So if you want to go along with what I had just said, basically they just need a motion to postpone indefinitely until we can receive that information. So, does anyone care to make that motion?
Also move.
All right. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any questions? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Member McGuire?
Yes.
Member Taylor?
Yes.
Vice Chair Bernard?
Yes.
Chair Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. Are we clear on 100 East Main? What they
I
doing?
have Mr. Bullock here as well to answer any questions.
Rob, clear it up for us, buddy. Just give your name and address for the record, please.
Rob Bullock, 100 East Main. What all would you like to know?
The question is, how many businesses are there with business licenses, and how many residences are upstairs that are currently occupied?
Currently, we have 2 businesses that have their business licenses downstairs. The third one, which we're working on, which is 109, is a new window and door business. And I'm not sure if he's talked to Chrissy yet. I know he's been working with the addressing thing with that.
Yeah.
But it's not done yet.
I'm sorry?
But it's not done yet.
It's not done yet. No,
Okay,
sir.
so hearing the discussion that we just had of knowing that you could potentially get an additional $2,000, would you like to wait until it is done to proceed with this application?
Yes, if that's okay with the city, I would like to do that. That would help. As you can see in the application, there's quite a bit of work that has to be done to the building as a whole. So if that means we could be eligible for another $2,000, I don't have any problem updating the application and coming back once we have that license.
What about residences?
We currently have 8. There's 2 downstairs and 6 upstairs. And
2 downstairs?
There's 2 downstairs.
Can't live downstairs, buddy.
Well, it was, I believe, grandfathered in with that.
No, we had a call on this issue with Jeff Schmucker, and there was no residences allowed downstairs on C4, only upstairs. Strictly has to be commercial downstairs.
Sounds like you need to have a conversation with them in between time as well.
Okay, all right.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, outside of that, most of our residences, I believe all of our residences are occupied except for one, which is he's completing some renovations on. And Ms. Peckel
Probably
does
be
have
done
a
around the
list.
same time that the other business.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it definitely sounds like everybody would benefit more by postponing it indefinitely until you can redo the application and
Okay.
come back to us.
All right.
And then
Yes.
some extra information between now and then, so we can make a decision next time you come. But each of these applications is requesting $14,696, which we know that won't happen because we've set a cap on it. However, we only have 2 bids, and one of them's for $22,000 and one of them's for $24,000 total, and they're both for the same type of work. So that's way under that $14,696 per application that you had. And then the other thing is, one of these bids is actually from the owner of the building.
It's
FSSF Design Construction Investment. Mr. I don't want to say his last name wrong.
Fauch.
FOC. Okay.
and that's
He
a
owns-
different entity from the legal entity that owns the building.
But the same person owns both of those.
I
So I don't know how everybody else feels about it, but I feel a little weird giving a bid out to somebody who beat out Bernie's. It's kind of, I feel like I'm kind of like paying somebody to do work on their own building.
I believe the proposals or the estimates are in front of you. I believe that was with him doing the windows and the labor to do the windows as well. So
The SF Design Construction Investment, their estimate is for pressure washing, ceiling
Okay.
painting, metal balcony, miscellaneous. I don't see any window estimate, but I know SF does windows. And then Bernie's was for the same thing, pressure cleaning and all that kind of stuff with the balconies. But SF beat Bernie's out by 2,000.
okay, I didn't have anything to do with. I just got the estimates because he does that kind of work. He is
Yeah.
a contractor.
Yeah.
Perhaps just
So-
alert him, and maybe
Yeah.
you can get another estimate between now and then.
Just-
I can get
to
I can
clear it
get a-
up, just-
I can get a third estimate. That's not a problem. To answer your first question, because you'd asked about the 14,000,
Yes.
and that's why I started with the windows and doors. The 14,000 per unit was broken down to include the windows, doors, and the ceiling painting and pointing of the brick. It was like an overall combination. That's what it would break down per unit to have all the work as a whole done.
We just don't have any of those estimates, that is what I'm saying. So we would have to have some kind of estimate justifying
I
that.
provided them everything that I had.
There should have been window and door estimates in that packet.
Well, if you send it, just make sure you send it again. And
Yeah. All I
If
have
we're
right now is
postponing it,
those.
I can update
Yeah.
the whole application and make sure everything is in there again.
Any idea of a timeline of when you think all that'll be done?
I could do it in the next month for you.
No, I mean those other units getting completed and everything.
That I would have to check with Mr. Fauch on.
Yeah.
If it goes after October 1st, it is the new fiscal year, so there would theoretically be more finances available.
Chances are it would probably be after October 1st because we're looking at a week
Right.
and we have a
Right
storm
around.
coming now. One question I did have is I know the advisory board and you guys had earmarked $100,000 for special projects, which our building was one of the ones that were in discussion with the budget. So is there a possibility of looking back at that amount versus the $28,000 cap per address?
I mean, personally, from my standpoint, no, just because that was the whole point of that was to establish that. So that would be my opinion. But certainly, anyone else, feel free.
I'm with the mayor. No, I mean, the cap that we set, I'm comfortable with that.
Okay.
Same.
All right.
All right, so you got a little bit of homework to do. Any
right.
other questions before you go?
I think we're good.
Very
I'll
good.
work on it and come back and see you. Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir. So we will need a motion to postpone indefinitely for 100 East Main Street.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Is there any further questions? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Member McGuire,
Yes.
Member Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bernard,
Yes.
Chair Anderson,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. Item number 7, this will be Lakeside Historical Cemetery survey quotes.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So, August 5th, you guys reviewed some of the information that was given to you regarding this huge project to try to restore Lakeside Historical Cemetery. In light of it having to be a multi-phase project, I am presenting to you today the potential for moving forward with the survey instead of giving a full approval and then just piecemealing this. As they get more quotes, we come before you and present that. So today we are asking if you want to move forward that we did receive a survey from Sherco Surveying for $1,600. Germain Surveying did provide a quote, but they are not willing to do the work. They only provided it to us for comparison purposes.
Okay. All right, so the real question is, this is part of a larger project, right?
Correct.
Okay, so we have not approved what that larger project will be.
Correct.
And then we can't really understand what that larger project would be until we get this survey done?
That is correct.
So would this actually fall under Lakeside Cemetery's request, or would it be the city's request?
It was presented by the cemetery.
Right.
But of course, we're going to do whatever we can to help. So if it needs to be a city request, we could always do that as well.
And this is in the Southside CRA.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, Jerry, do you have any opinion as to what we should or should not do here?
No, I think you can do it either with through the CRA to get more information, or you can do it as a grant. But I think it's fine to get it done.
Okay. Personally, I think that we probably don't want to get in the business of doing survey work for people. So I think that if we are going to do it, granted, there is only one Lakeside Cemetery. This is a one-off project for sure. So,
And it's run by a nonprofit as well.
right. I would rather see the CRA do it, just so you could label it as we're trying to understand our borders or something like that. Just so that we're not getting into the business of doing surveys for people.
I agree. It should be the CRA money.
So, make sure I'm understanding. If we decide to do this 25 for the cemetery, you're saying that we will not try to get any grant money to help them out?
No, absolutely. It would still be CRA funded. I'm just saying that it should be a CRA initiated project rather than the Lakeside Cemetery initiating it.
Oh.
Because I don't want to get in a situation, and granted, this is just my opinion, but I don't want to get in a situation where people are coming to us to request CRA grant money for doing surveys.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's really just for informational purposes, so we understand what the scope of the project's going to ultimately be.
Right. They're still getting the money either way. It's just the way it's worded.
It would
So-
be facilitated through the CRA as opposed to them reaching out to Sherco and paying for it through their funds and then us reimbursing them.
Right.
Okay.
So does staff see an issue with doing it that way?
No, that's easily done.
Can we proceed with the information that we have here?
I believe so.
Okay. Any other questions on this?
Yeah, I have a question. And so going forward, are we going to be like applying for different grants to help fund this? Or are we going to just strictly go through the CRA?
No, everything else would proceed as normal. I just didn't want to have, because we're not approving a larger grant here. We're only approving just a survey.
All right.
So I didn't want people to be coming to the CRA trying to get just a survey done.
Oh, okay.
If it's part of a larger project and it's all one turnkey package, that's fine. But just this one-off thing, it seemed a little out of place to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
So does anyone care to make that motion? It would just be a motion to approve the survey with CRA initiated.
Yes, but the circle surveying for 1,600,
It'd be CRA initiated.
CRA initiative, so moved.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any questions? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Member McGuire,
Yes.
Member Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bernard,
Yes,
Chair Anderson.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. All right, item number 8, the Depot Baseball Museum Grant Agreement.
Yes, sir. So this grant agreement, just full disclosure, will still need to be reviewed by the CRA attorney that we just approved the agreement for. But this is a draft agreement that both parties have come together on, and this is in order for us to move forward with your June 24th decision for $100,000 towards the Depot Baseball Museum. We have to have this agreement in place to move forward. So we are looking for approval on just the draft, that you agree with the draft so that we can give it to the attorney for a final opinion and then bring it before you for final approval.
Right. It's a lot of money, and that's a fine project, but we want to make sure before we proceed forward to pay an attorney to look it over, that you want to move forward on it.
Okay. Do you see any issues with this fitting into our CRA plan?
No, it's your CRA plan does discuss historical buildings and improvements, and this is clearly falls within that, tying it to the historical nature of the baseball and the Avon Park area.
Okay. As far as the budget goes, was there a line item for this project, or was this the special project?
No, there is a line item for this project.
Okay. All right. Any questions Seeing none, is there a motion? The motion would be to approve or would be to approve subject to the review of the outside attorney.
For 100,000?
Correct.
So move.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second it.
We have a second. Last call for questions. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Member McGuire?
Yes.
Member Taylor?
Yes.
Vice Chair Bernard?
Yes.
Chair Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, item number 9 is to be demolition grant for Dolly and Anthony Singh, 1029 West Pine Street.
Yes, sir. So this is a demolition agreement. The CRA Advisory Board recommended an approval of this agreement not to exceed $17,500 for this property. We did receive several quotes. I wanted to note that Slash Pines combines both properties because you will see the next agenda item is the second property. So that's why you're seeing such a huge difference between the quotes. SAP Services is offering to do the demolition for $6,992. We also included asbestos inspection proposals as well, which will need to be included in the motion for approval.
And that would be for the verification that there's no hazardous substances.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. So to be clear, it's $17,500 for both properties?
No, just for this property.
Okay.
And that would include the asbestos.
Okay. All right. Any questions?
Yeah, my only thing is that one, according to the property appraiser, that's a residential, which we have a cap of 15,000.
That's correct. We do have a cap, so they would have to pay for the difference.
Okay. Any other questions? You have something? Just give your name and address again for the record.
Rob Bullock, 100 East Main. Both of the properties are zoned commercial. Correct, Randy?
I think
guess-
the Highlands County property appraiser still says residential, single family.
There, I can tell you, I've actually looked at it, it's C2, so it's commercial too.
Yeah, it's less than a block off of 27.
Yeah, the first block, east and west of Main Street, or from 27, all of those are C2.
Yeah. So its last use was probably a residence, and then it's going to be torn down.
Is this the front building or the rear building?
back one.
Believe this is King's Realty?
It's the front of what
The
used to be a.
1029.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
history on this. We were actually I'm glad they're actually coming forward. We're getting ready to write this property up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So this
it's-
is the one that's actually right on 27, and it was
Yeah.
used as a real estate office for many years.
Yes.
So it had a commercial use for sure.
So that's the 1033.
I don't know which
Yes.
which
Yes.
one's which.
1033 is the one that had the big king sign on
Yes.
it.
Yep.
1029 is the white house.
Is the White House behind it.
So that's the residential one.
It's zoned C2, and it'll be replaced. Their intentions is to replace it with a commercial residential type complex.
Okay, so Randy, we don't go based on like Highlands County property appraiser says 01 single family, unless I'm looking in the wrong spot.
Well, if you look right behind there, there's a separate house, and that is 1029. You go to the DOR code, and that is it's taxed as a single family residence, but it is still C2 by nature because it's within that first block off of 27.
We might have some clarification. Ms. Pipel, just give your name and
Yes.
address for the record.
Sarah Pipel, 100 East Main Street, Avon Park, 33825. So according to the property appraiser's site, you are correct. Originally it was built as a single-family home, but over the years it was changed to commercial C2.
Okay,
So I do
Okay.
have it. I can send it.
okay, no, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So in fact, both properties are commercial. Very good.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments, or you just want to hang out until we get done?
Just in case you need me, I might
Okay.
as well stay. Hang on.
All right. Any other questions on this property? So, being that it is not residential, what is the cap?
The cap on that would be the
25.
25,000.
Okay. So the 17.5 fits with underneath 25.
Yes.
So we have no conflicts at this point. Any other questions on this property? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve for 17,500?
Do we need to do each motion separately? Or yes.
The way we could do it is you could make a motion to approve it for the not to exceed amount, and then just make sure you list which contractor you want to award it to and which one for the asbestos as well.
I don't know if you can do a blanket like we've done on the other ones, because just if there is asbestos in there, your cost now is going to increase because of the remediation. So instead of, I know in the past you've given, I think, a blanket up to 25, not to exceed, but if there is asbestos in there, it's going to go beyond that $17,000.
Okay.
But you'll want opportunity to look at that again before,
We could treat it like a change order.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So still do the 17.5?
yeah.
Okay. All right. And what was the,
So the lowest quote came from SAP Services at $6,992.
okay.
And then for asbestos, the lowest came from Donaldson Environmental for $1,240.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve the demolition grant for 1029 West Pine Street to SAP Services and Donaldson Environmental with a cap not to exceed 17,500.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Member McGuire?
Yes.
Member Taylor?
Yes.
Vice Chair Bernard?
Yes.
Chair Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item number 10, demolition grant for 1033 West Pine Street.
I'll make a motion that we approve the demolition grant for 1033 West Pine Street to SAP Services and Donaldson Environmental not to exceed 17,500.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Member McGuire?
Yes.
Member Taylor?
Yes.
Vice Chair Bernard?
Yes.
Chair Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. All right. Item number 11, CRA Advisory Board wants some tablets.
Super easy one on this one. So the CRA Advisory Board wants to have tablets, and they had an vote had recommended this for approval. Our IT administrator obtained 3 different price options for a relatively similar tablet compared to what you guys have. So the lowest would be through Amazon. It would be $472.33.
Any
Per-
particular reason why they're going with Samsung rather than Apple products?
That was just the recommendation of our IT administrator. I think it's a cost-effective option. They tend to be a lot cheaper than the iPads.
Jerry's not happy about it.
That costs too much.
I actually agree with Samsung in this case because, as you can see, a lot of times the board isn't always there. So why buy the best when sometimes you only have 4 members show up?
Yeah. No, if you're not getting the latest model, if you're getting this exact model, it's actually cheaper than that. But
Are we getting this model?
This is for a CRA Advisory Board.
Right, but are we getting
No,
this
you guys are
model?
going to keep. No, we would be
We're
getting
not
them
getting
at
anything.
Android.
No, I'm talking about the advisory board.
No,
Are
they're
they
getting-
going to be getting this?
No, they're getting a
Something
Samsung.
similar.
Oh.
Very similar.
you have an Apple in your hand, they're getting a Samsung.
Oh, okay.
Yours is fancy.
It's cheaper? How much was ours?
It doesn't matter. I shouldn't have brought it up.
How much was ours?
That was a long time ago. But it was very expensive,
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was like 1,000. I'm not
I
sure.
remember.
at least for someone like me.
All right, so the lowest bid here was for Amazon. So is there a motion to approve?
I do have one question on that, though, that the one has a quote of not much more for the 256 gigabytes compared to 128. I think the extra dollar for the more gigabytes may be well worth it.
If you're just doing packets, they're never going to fill up 128 gigs anyway.
No?
Not before the tablets are obsolete.
Okay. That just brought it.
They're like,
I agree. Oh, that's fine then.
the biggest packet we have is maybe 500 megs. So
Yeah.
that's about 7 years of meetings there,
Okay. Just checking.
if they don't delete anything. All right, any other questions or comments? Do we have a motion to approve the Amazon bid for tablets at $472.33 each?
So move.
We have a
Second.
motion, we have a second. Any questions? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Member McGuire?
Yes.
Member Taylor?
Yes.
Vice Chair Bernard?
Yes.
Chair Anderson?
Yes,
Motion passes.
that concludes our CRA budget. Anything else for the good of CRA?
No, sir.
I just
See-
have one thing. I went to an AHAC meeting this past week, affordable housing, and they have lots of money left over for, because I know we've had several facade grants that needed a lot more than just the facade. So they have a lot of money left over for owner rehabs. I believe the loan is up to $40,000, deferred payments for 3 years and 0% interest. And then the other big pot of money that they have is disaster assistance from 3 years ago. So if your insurance, or if you didn't have insurance for new roof, HVAC, any of that stuff, and that one actually is a grant. So there are income requirements, but I did send it all to Christy, and I think she already posted it on the city website. So they wanted us to help get the word out. Anybody that needs that kind of assistance, contact the county.
Are there any deadlines that you know of?
They want us to have a plan to get the money spent by October 15th. So it's a rush to get in there and get the money spent.
So if anybody needs it, make sure you get it in quick.
If you're looking for it on the website, it's under community. About Avon Park, it has its own sub bar.
Okay. Anything else for the good of the CRA? Seeing none, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, please.
Seeing no opposition, we are adjourned.